Welcome. Welcome to World War One. So this is where we are right now. You should be in your Google Doc on Roman numeral 2. And what I'd like to talk to you about before we even get into the themes is this particular chart. So the question that kids always ask, World War One took place over 100 years ago. Why on earth should we be studying it? And I think over the course of the themes, we'll address that. But what I'd like you to do is just study the chart in front of you. This chart is the number of killed or wounded soldiers in World War One, and just understand that each soldier you see on the chart is 500,000 soldiers. Right, so like each soldier is 500,000. It represents 500,000 soldiers killed or wounded. So if you can just try to wrap your head around that, Russia has over 6.5 million soldiers killed or wounded in World War One. The British Empire is just under 3 million. Germany has over 6 million soldiers killed or wounded in World War One. The United States is considered to be one of the victors of World War One, one of the winners of World War One, and it only suffered 256,000 killed or wounded in World War One. Add up the numbers and you can kind of see the staggering casualty count. Now, these are just military soldiers killed or wounded. Double that for civilians, right? So you're almost looking at double the amount when you're talking about civilians, regular folks that were killed or wounded in World War One. Average age of the soldier towards the end of the war in World War One, 16. The youngest soldier in World War One that was killed, 12 years old. So a 12-year-old was killed at the Battle of the Somme fighting for England. I bring this up to you to kind of emphasize that we get lost in the numbers, and when we think of war, we think of we think of conquest and victory. I really want us to think about we can obviously think about that, but I'd also like us to think about the fact that every single person, every single soldier was someone's father, someone's brother, someone's cousin, someone's son. And so when you see war in that context, you understand that war should never be something that is easily waged, because whenever we wage war, someone pays the price. And as you could see, one of the reasons why World War One is the most horrific of wars is the killed or casualty count. And more importantly, we recognize that the reason why we study World War One is so that we learn to avoid war. I'll be very direct. Obviously, some people will say war is necessary. War is a moral sin. It is wrong. And we must be able to speak that truth. I think that the chart here speaks to that fairly well. Okay, so after this, we're going to go to our next slide, and that's when we're going to start typing in our Google Doc. Okay, so let's go ahead and start focusing in on World War One. I'll see you on the next slide.